It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. You know, nostalgia makes people do, feel, think, and say weird things. That's what we're talking about on The Scribble, starting right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
JB here on The Scribble. There, my team is laughing at me because that was a very dramatic introduction to the show. But there's several angles that I want to talk about when it comes to nostalgia. I have to say, there's this YouTube channel. I've kind of been getting into videos where people, and I know that I shouldn't because I'm a media personality, but it's entertaining to watch people go into abandoned malls and water parks and hotels and things like that. I realize they're trespassing. I'm not saying that I'm condoning it. But anyway, there's this guy, I don't remember his name, but these people always talk like they are the authority, right? So they go to the mall, okay, they Wikipedia'd or they Googled the mall, and they're kind of telling you the backstory, which that's fine. It shows that they've done their research. But there's this guy, and I enjoy his videos, so I'm not saying anything, when he's going through the malls, he'll talk about how this is like, this is where people would come for their first dates and whatever. And he's meaning the word nostalgia, G-I-A, nostalgia, but he says nostalgic. And because he's misusing the word, it just drives me insane because, you can just feel the nostalgic. No, that's not half points for meaning well, but no. Yeah, there's just the nostalgia. Speaking of malls, that's actually where this came about. So I visited my hometown mall recently, or my home neighborhood mall, I guess, whatever. There's a bunch of malls in my hometown of Winnipeg. And so it's not one of the big malls. Like I guess there would be considered to be 3 kind of major malls. And then you've got the ones that are a little bit smaller they're not a strip mall, but they're just not, the big major ones. So the smaller one is one that's by my parents' house. It's probably about, anyway, I grew up in that neighborhood, and I've gone to the mall basically my entire life. My mom worked at there's no Sears there anymore, but she worked there when we were kids, and so that mall's been around my entire life. So one of the places that was in the mall, even back when I was in elementary or junior? I think it was junior high, because that's when the boys started to really like girls. So there was a guy in my class called Miles, and he would get his hair cut at this stylist or salon or whatever in the mall. And so he would talk about Svetlana. He had a crush on this Svetlana. And so, the teenage boys would be kind of like, oh, because now for Miles, this was a big exciting thing. she had larger, she was larger in the front. She was endowed, gifted. And so as a teenage boy, he, liked the fact that, boobies were basically in his face as he was getting his haircut. So the fact that I remember this is my point, is Svetlana was there when he was, probably early teenage years. And so in the mall, the location was in one spot back then, and then it ended up moving to another location in the same mall. They just, I don't know if it was a bigger space or what happened, but they moved and they were there for a long time. So now fast forward to being an adult. So I was still, living at home with my parents. I was in my 20s. I guess I would have been 20. Well, I went there in my 20s. So at that point, they had been in the mall for at least over 10 years. And like I said, they were, I don't, because I was a kid, I mean, my mom would take us to wherever. But I just remember hearing about Svetlana from this kid, Miles. So when I started to go there as an adult, you kind of break away from, going, your mom taking you to get your haircut, right? I was either, I'd go by bus or I could even walk there. I'd get my own haircut. So Svetlana still worked there when I was there, and she was, he said Russian at the time. She's Hungarian. And so, I would still go there in my 20s. And then when I got into doing the radio stuff, so I was 25 and then in my 30s. And then I have a husband who's a fitness model. So he's big into hair and all that kind of stuff anyway. So he would eventually just start cutting my hair. But I would go there the odd time in my late 20s, perhaps even early 30s, when we didn't have my hair styled professionally on location somewhere, and I would need it either for an event or something. I would go there, and I wasn't one of those people who needed to have, like, I didn't go to, if Svetlana was open, okay, fine, then she would take me. I would just go as a customer. I wasn't one of those people who was like, she'll do my hair. I wouldn't make an appointment. It was walk-ins, and I'm just that kind of a customer. I'm like, so if they're busy, then I'll come back tomorrow or whatever. I mean, yeah, I could make an appointment, but I was fine with anybody doing it. I have very basic hair. I don't, need it to be anything special. So they were in a different location for a very long time, and so when I went through the mall, I noticed they are closed. Now, part of me felt like, oh, they're gone. Well, that really sucks. Oh. And I hear that a lot, right? When, like, let's say Toys R Us or, a big Chuck E. Cheese. I kind of felt that way when Chuck E. Cheese closed. But then I ask myself, when was the last time that I was actually there? So for this hairstylist, I stopped going there, 10 years ago or whatever it is. And then I'm disappointed. But then at the same time, I'm kind of like, well, I did stop giving them my business. So if I really did like them, but there's still just something, right? There's that nostalgia about, because I've got that memory from, junior high and this kid Miles and Svetlana and, and the fact that they're this local hairstylist in business for, over 20 years. Like there's, something kind of, I didn't know any of them personally. It's not like I didn't know any of their last names. I don't know, but they would talk about, when they're making small talk, they'd talk about their kids or their family or whatever. But the only one that I knew was Svetlana. A bunch of the other women were there for quite almost the exact same time. 3 or 4 of them I recognized from, way back in the day. But I don't know their names. I don't know anything about them. So yeah, they'd talk about their kids or ask you what you're doing for the holidays and stuff like that. And that was it, right? It was just kind of chit chat in the moment. But again, as I'm walking through the mall and I see that it's closed, I was like, oh, that's too sad. Meanwhile, the people who probably lost their jobs are sitting there going, yeah, you fucker, you didn't do business. Like, why, and now you're going to go and say, oh, it's too bad. It's gone. And it's always that way that people feel, right? And again, same thing with Chuck E. Cheese. I went there a lot when I was a kid, but why would I go there as an adult by myself? I don't have kids, so it's not like that's creepy if I'm going to, a kid's play area. I might be registered as something if I went there on my own just for, no reason. I could, it closed before I was with my husband. I said I could go and just play the games with, your partner or whatever it was. But same thing like Toys R Us. It's like, they go to business and whatever, and I'm sitting there going, I did enjoy going there when I was a kid. I'd go with my mom shopping or whatever. But yeah, when was the last time that I bought something from there? Okay, so, you, the consumer, are maybe part of the reason why these places close. So I kind of felt like a bit of a jerk, right? Those are the ones that come to mind, is the hairstylist, because that's what prompted this story, and then Toys R Us and Chuck E. Cheese. They were good times when you're a kid, right? And then all of a sudden you outgrow things, perhaps, and, it's kind of sad. Do you have a store like that? Or is there a local institution where you're kind of just like, oh my God? It did happen in Winnipeg, where there was a bakery that was, 50 years old, or however, it was just generations. And when word got out that it was going to be going out of business, another famous brand or former brand or whatever, not even in the bakery business per se, stepped in and was like, we're going to save this. And they ended up buying the company and, kept the name alive. I think it's Cub Bread, and it was by people from Manitoba will know Chip and Pepper Wetware. Back, that was like, they had like the tie-dyed kind of beach clothing when I was a kid. So in, mid 80s. And so they ended up coming in and saving, I think it was Cub Bakery, K-U-B, Cub Bakery. Manitobans are going to hate me if I get that wrong. I'm very far removed from Winnipeg quite a bit now with living in West Hollywood. So, yeah, I think it was Cub Rye Bread, I think was what you did. Yeah, that was what it was called. So there you go. And the other thing that happens is you hear the same kind of a thing when a TV show is canceled or a celebrity dies. And that's what I'm talking about on The Scribble right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
JB here on The Scribble. So as an entertainment reporter and host for, 20 years now, I've had to talk about so many celebrity deaths. And when I was hosting our syndicated radio show, sometimes it would just be part of a segment, or if it was breaking news, I would have to jump on with the radio stations that aired our programming, because I was their correspondent or their host or whatever. So I would go on with the local person and, so-and-so died at the age of whatever. This is what we know, such and such. And that's typically when you do the whole, I loved her, loved him. And something struck me very odd. Now, this happened back when, if you recall, the Fast and Furious, Paul Walker. Now, we looked this up. He died November 30th, 2013. So I was at the mall when this story broke. I was just leaving the mall. And I remember that there was a news alert. So I was doing our entertainment hits and whatever at the time. So I knew that I'd have to get on the radio with a bunch of stations. It was in the evening. So that was a little bit rare to do it in the evening. But this was the funny thing, was I had actually never heard of Paul Walker before that. I had never seen the movies. I didn't know who he was. So then when you start to read, because, social media, we're talking about 13 years ago. So social media was around, but not as not prominent, but not as, I guess it was prominent. It just it wasn't so much of a news transmission platform as it is now, right? So what would happen though is everybody would basically tweet that or post that, Paul Walker died, because it seemed like they were breaking the news to you, right? That was kind of everybody's sort of thing back then, was you made it seem like, oh my God, and then they were reporting it. So that was something that I noticed, because I remember scrolling on Facebook or Twitter, whatever it was, and just seeing all these people going, oh my God, I loved him, I loved him, I loved him, which is fine. He was a great actor and whatever it was that you knew about him. But that's where I would go, and just talking about those stores that have closed, I would go and say, were you watching him on a daily basis? Like, that would be something where, when was the last time you thought about him? When was the, it's great that you enjoyed him. Now, let's say, a Kardashian or whoever, big time, Taylor Swift, somebody, dies, and fans will be devastated. But those fans are the ones that are listening to her every day. They're, listening to the music every day, following every day on Twitter or so on Instagram, whatever it is. So those fans, yes, you could say that they love, because they're always thinking about that celebrity, right? So Paul Walker, you're kind of like, I watched the movie 5 years ago. I can't name anything else that he was in, but just the tributes that the average person was posting. So I remember leaving the mall and kind of reading these things going, was he a really big deal or something? Because I, again, haven't heard of him for the life of me, even though I was an entertainment reporter. But there was just something about that struck me odd, because I didn't quite get it. I thought, this is really weird. And obviously, like, you treat that differently than celebrity reactions to something, right? Because the celebrities who've worked with him know him, and, whatever, that's a bit different. They have more relationships with each other. But the common folk, right? The average TV movie viewer, like, they really had that much of a connection to this guy. Like, they loved him, really, right? So, I mean, and it's the same thing with the TV show. Now, I could understand a TV show that if you've watched it for however many years, right? And now this is where you're talking about your Sex and the City, your Friends, your Will and Grace, your, well, back in the day, Home Improvement, Full House, Everybody Loves Raymond, 2.5 Men, ER, Scrubs, Three's Company, any of those kinds of shows. If those were, what you grew up on and you still watch to this day. So then when John Ritter died, which obviously was a long time ago, but, John Ritter dies, okay, that's something where, that I watched that show when I was growing up. I watch it in reruns now. My kids watch it. So that one has a little bit more of an impact, right? So I see that. But again, random celebrity, and let's say also random music star. Fill in the blank of somebody, 30 years ago, though. Aretha Franklin. I mean, again, but that's a generational thing. So people who, like my parents, my mom, or whoever grew up on that, and I knew it just because of my mom listening to it, then there's a bit of a connection. But was I listening to Aretha Franklin on a regular basis? No. We talked about it on the radio. When she died, I don't know if we were doing with E! News or we were on with somebody, and then I think I had Chantal Krebiazik from my hometown of Winnipeg come on. I think we did something that evening as well. But again, that's where you're pretending and you're feigning this, love and admiration. Now, Chantal Krebiazik has been in the music business for 30 years, so she's either, worked with her or knows her or something. So there's a bit of a connection there. But again, me, just as the regular music listener, I mean, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I mean, you feel sad for the family, but I'm not personally impacted by the death of Aretha Franklin. It's just not something that I'm not that connected to her, right? But again, you have, like, let's say a show like Will and Grace. I mean, one of those lead characters die, and I loved Megan Mullally on Will and Grace, and then when she had her own talk show. Most people might not remember that, and then you follow her. Look at the I Can't Believe It's Not Butter commercial. Do you remember that, when she was running around the grocery store and doing backflips in the freezer section? I mean, come on, so, you can appreciate their work. Again, I mean, when's the last time that I watched her in something? Well, again, probably years, but I still have that connection to my childhood from watching Will and Grace when I was growing up, and then watching it in reruns, and then watching it with my husband, and then watching the reboot. So, has there been a celebrity where you kind of, when there was maybe a celebrity death or something happened, and you're just like, wow, this is really weird that, the average person who has not thought about this celebrity in years, maybe even decades, The average Facebook person is just now posting these tributes, and it just seems a little bit disingenuous. It just kind of seems a little bit odd. Tell me if there was a celebrity that happened, or that happened with, and you're like, really? Live, Live, at jbonair.com. Live at jbonair.com. Oh, the nostalgic of it all, right, folks? The nostalgic. I gotta find that guy's name. He's really interesting to watch because at one point he bought some kind of a van, and so he was doing his road trips or something in a big like souped up van that had like cool lighting, and he had like a little kitchen and stuff in it. It was kind of cool. I don't remember his. Come to think of it, he doesn't show up on my feed anymore. But if something happened to him and I find out later, I would be devastated. Oh my God, that guy whose name I didn't remember died. Oh, we're going to take a break, and we'll continue with the discussion right after this on The Scribble.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
JB here, continuing on The Scribble. I mean, we're talking sort of feigning interest, and F-E-I-G-N, feigning. Interest in things. It's actually happened to me where, we were talking about I was talking about celebrity deaths in the last segment. It happened before where my mom called me. This is probably, it was a long time ago. She called me to tell me that somebody died. And I don't know how I was supposed to react. It was kind of one of those things where, okay, like, how do I explain it? If there's anybody that knows you really, really well, it's going to be, your parents, your brothers or sisters, somebody that, has known you your entire life, right? So, like, my mom would know if I'm lying, right? Like, if I were to have the reaction, oh my God, no way, she's going to know that I don't really mean that, because that's not how I react to things, So I remember kind of being like, okay, yeah, it was da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, well, that's too bad, yeah. Oh, okay. And I don't know if she was wanting to engage in conversation, right? Like, is she expecting me to ask questions and go, oh no, well, what's the, when's the funeral, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But she's just kind of doing the thing, right? There's that chain of command where she heard from so-and-so, and now she's got to tell her kid, my mom's got to tell my brothers and me. And so I kind of remember ending that, and it was probably one of the quickest calls that I'd ever had with her, right? Because I don't really know. She's thinking that there's going to be this big discussion. Am I going to have a breakdown? Meanwhile, again, it could have been somebody that I either hadn't seen in years. And we've got so many people in our family where, it's happened, I don't even know how many times, but it's happened where, your dad's cousin Eugene died, and I know the name, but show me a lineup of family members, I can't point out who Eugene is. So you kind of run that, you tread that line of, well, it was my dad's cousin, so do I pretend to feel disappointed? Do I wouldn't recognize the dude, so that's too bad. I mean, and again, we're not a family that I'm going to go and say, like, how's dad doing? Is dad okay? Because I don't know. Was Eugene even married? Does Eugene have kids? Like, so we've had that so many times. And again, she'll call me and say, like, oh, so-and-so's my, her cousin or my dad's cousin or her aunt. And I'm just kind of like, okay, I don't know. There's a part of me that actually just kind of wants to go and say, do we have to go to the funeral, or like, why do I? Am I having to take Thursday off? Like, I mean, like what's the, I mean, why? I don't care. But again, it's heartless to say that, right? So it's funny how, you know, you can, with a celebrity that you've never met, the celebrity doesn't even know you don't know them, you know them through a screen or through a speaker or something, and then, you know, you have like a relative that dies, and it's like, do people post? I mean, yes, I've seen it. I'm not saying that people don't do it, but I mean, if you posted that much about Paul Walker, are you posting that much about a distant relative that died last week? You've met the person, you were at their wedding, you wouldn't recognize them on the street today, but their family. Have you posted that? But somehow Paul Walker you had an emotional connection with, right? Like, it's kind of weird the way that we react to things. But yes, I mean, we've had so many situations where, well, it's sort of a little bit off topic, but I've been out in public and run into, again, she's been at family get-togethers. It's usually a woman. She's been at family get-togethers. I've said hi to her. She's related to my grandma somehow. Don't know her name. Don't know where she's from. But I've seen her. And then you're standing there talking, right? And she's asking... She knows my family, right? So she knows my... Well, I mean, my grandma's dead now. But I'm saying, like, you know, so she knows my grandma, or she knows my parents, and she knows my aunt and uncle and whoever. And so, you know, she's asking me about them. And then I kind of feel like a dick because I don't know what to ask her. This is a woman in her, like, you know, 60s or 70s or something. I don't know if she's married or has grandkids my age. Like, I don't know anything. So it does feel a little bit one-sided. Now, at the same time, you know, you're considered the kid, you know, of the family. Even though I'm in my 40s, you're still considered the kid. So, I mean, the kids aren't necessarily supposed to express interest and whatever. I mean, that's me with a woman that I've never had a conversation with, even at the family get-togethers, right? We've had our pleasantries. We've said hi or, you know, whatever it is. Now I run into her on the street. So maybe she feels obligated to ask me about my parents, or, oh, tell your mom and dad I said hi. Okay, great. So now we part ways, right? We split up now. And I'm gonna call my mom and go, you know that she was at, I think, an anniversary. No, was she at my brother's wedding? No, she was at my grandparents' anniversary. Now my mom's going, who? Right? Like, I don't know who you're talking about. So I'm not even going to bother saying anything. I mean, I guess what I could do is go and look through, you know, family pictures from those events and try to find her, hope maybe she's in the background. I would have taken a picture of her just on her own. So maybe I got a picture of her standing with my grandma at one point 30 years ago. Or I'd go to my parents. I'm like, Mom, give me your photo albums. Let me see if I can find her in here. Well, by the way, 2.5 hours later, she said hi. Well, she can't go and say hi back. So, I mean, like, what's the point? So I've had that where I'm told that somebody's died and I'm just like, oh, okay. Oh, that's too bad. But it depends on who it is. I'm not going to even try to fake it with my mom. She's going to know that I don't give a shit. She's going to know, you know, but she's still telling me because that's what she has to do. Have you had a situation like that? Where, you know, you find out and or do you do the fake, oh my God, oh no, that's terrible. They're laughing at me across the way. They're laughing at me because, what did you just say? Was that Bonnie that just said that? That she did tell me something like that one time, and that was how I reacted. And she said, I wish Bonnie was on a microphone that you could hear her, but she's talking into a headset. Yes, I did that. What was it? Her car died. That's right. When her car died and she needed to get a new car. And I was like, oh no. Well, it was still a death. It wasn't a human, but it was a death. All right. Right? Because that's the good thing. You know, I'd much rather be genuine than, you know, fake it. Now, if the person doesn't know you very well, okay. But I mean, you're not going to overdo it. I'm not going to like have my jaw, my mouth wide open and go, oh, no, oh my God, right? But, you know, you have to kind of play it by ear because obviously you're not expecting to hear that news in the moment. So maybe this is something you need to rehearse, you know, in the long run. But tell me if it's happened to you. Live, LIVE at jbonair.com. Live at jbonair.com. We're out of time. Gotta go. My name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Thank you so much for tuning in. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye for now.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up The Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com. Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.